All right, what do you get after Miranda Lambert? No, not me. I'm here every morning on the Morning Scramble. You also get a treatise, a seminar, if you will, in anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I will bet you right now that Katie Ellis, even though you've been practicing as a hypnotherapist, clinical counseling hypnotherapist for a long time, I'll bet you that there are still a lot of people who have no idea what we're talking about with panic attacks and anxiety.
And they keep it quite to themselves. Actually, 1 in 4 people will suffer an anxiety panic attack in their lifetime.
1 in 4?
Well, 117 million Americans suffer with one form or another of anxiety or panic disorder.
Well, where do they come from?
They come from basically your fight or flight response. Something happens that puts you under undue stress, such as maybe when you're taking exams in college, or the death of a loved one, or some big change, and you freak. You begin to panic, and you're not sure what is around the corner. That's basically what an anxiety panic disorder is about. What's going to happen to me in the future? Am I safe? Am I in control in or of my life?
And I will bet you that the vast majority of people outside of your profession also think that there probably is a type that you can recognize, an on-edge nervous person. The first time I heard about somebody in my business that suffered from this, it was Willard Scott. The last person in the world in television that I would imagine, Mr. Casual Weather Guy, Willard Scott. And he was talking about coming to the edge of the steps, going up on a stage to make an appearance, could not move.
Yep.
Was
Yeah,
paralyzed.
it'll stop you in your tracks. Well, it's your fight or flight response. So basically what's going to happen is when you feel threatened, whether it's real or imagined, the subconscious doesn't know the difference, you will either fight or flee. And there are some people who stop dead in their tracks and cannot move. They become completely frozen. You've heard of people where they've gotten stuck in high places where they have a death grip. That's basically the same thing.
Does it affect you also long-term physically? Can it affect your heart? Can it affect other organs in your body?
It can. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of people suffering with IBS or Crohn's disease.
Oh, yeah.
That it's basically because it's a stress disorder, and it does affect you that way, yeah.
It has to be not only debilitating and paralyzing, but it also has to be emotionally a serious problem for people if they don't know when it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, if you're a human being, you're in the category of being able to suffer from an anxiety panic disorder. Man, woman, or child, it doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter when you are when you're feeling unsafe, when you're really feeling threatened by something, again, real or imagined, that's when this deep brain instinct will kick into place. And it's meant to preserve your life. However, in today's society, it doesn't really work very well, except if we're moving out of the way of a car coming at us.
Do people try to self-medicate with alcohol?
That's one of the biggest problems. People self-medicate with alcohol. They find that a glass of wine makes them feel a little bit calmer and they're relaxed, and they find that they get into a problem such as Maria Vargas had discovered. She'd come out with a book.
Used to be here at Channel 3 before she went to ABC.
Was she really?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, she just recently came out with a book where she suffered from a panic disorder from the age of 5, and in late high school and college she discovered a glass of wine calmed the nerves. Well, she continued this for the next 20, 30 years until her family says, you know, you really have a problem. She suffered from something what I call sundowners. It's very well known in the addictions area, where you get at home, your obligations are done and over with, and then you have a glass of wine and then another until the bottle's gone or you pass out.
What's a more acceptable alternative?
From wine? I mean, there's
from any kind of self-medication.
Relaxing, learning relaxation methods, learning basically right now the medical and mental health communities only help you cope or manage the symptoms of it, and actually it's correctable. So if you see a specialist who can correct this, you're better off with that. That way you won't need to use substances. You can use any substance. Some people use alcohol. Some people use street drugs or prescription drugs, especially Xanax, or pain medications such as Vicodin or oxycodone. Some people use food, body dysmorphia, where they're emotionally eating. They feel full, they feel safe, satiated, and everything's good. So it can really go in many different
And
forms.
you use hypnosis.
I use hypnosis and cognitive behavioral training. It's a two-pronged approach. Basically what has happened is somehow your fight or flight response instinct has gotten set into motion. For some people it'll happen once and that's it. For some people, they'll begin to have more and more frequent anxiety panic attacks, which will allow your world becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. You go to the store to get a box of cereal and you have a panic attack. Now maybe you can't go to that store or go to a store alone. It turns into a condition called agoraphobia, where you find that you are living in your house, or you do avoidance issues. You will avoid any situations that will create those symptoms of anxiety or panic. They're like you are having a heart attack or dying symptoms. They put
And
most
some
people in the hospital.
agoraphobics, I've read, have actually remained in their homes for
30
years.
Yeah, I've treated people who have been in their home for 30 years.
What about the effect of the kind of stress unique to combat veterans? Coming back with PTSD, well, we hear about PTSD, but we don't hear necessarily about it associated with anxiety attacks.
PTS and PTSD is basically the same thing except on steroids. Like OCD. OCD is a form of anxiety panic disorder, but it's manifested or expressed in other ways. Again, feeling safe. If I make sure this is turned this way and everything's all nice and neat, life will be fine, I will be safe, I will be able to move through this day, these different rituals. With combat fatigue and PTS and PTSD, it's basically the same thing, where they are unable to control these overwhelming thoughts that are coming in. And what I teach people is how to understand the nature of your thoughts, how your thoughts create feelings, your thoughts and feelings combined create the motion of emotion, and to allow that emotion to wash over you and then back out. If you hold on to a fear and you're constantly in chronic panic, that's when it really becomes a terrible issue.
This is so important, and we've got to make some information available. Where can people find out more about panic attacks and anxiety?
They can go to my website, thehealingquest.com. I have a whole plethora of information, down to earth, anybody can understand, about all sorts of different forms of anxiety and panic, as well as seminars I hold monthly at my office called Worrier to Warrior, Conquering Anxiety and Panic Attacks. It's a free seminar for anybody to attend, and they're small. Only 8 people are coming, so you're not going to be in a room crowded with other people, and it's a nice large room, so just in case you have
So
some
I don't have to
claustrophobia.
go through anxiety.
You don't have to
right?
go through
You got
anxiety.
Miranda